Thank you, everybody, for coming to the College Football Betting with Aaron Torres YouTube channel. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. Go ahead, click that subscribe button. It helps our channel grow. It helps our audience grow. I appreciate it more than you know as we're talking college football on this channel year round. Appreciate your support. Click that subscribe button. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Dallas, Texas, the Cotton Bowl, baby. How about this? Texas, Oklahoma. We still call it the Red River Shootout on this show, okay? There's no political correctness here. I swear, I yell, I scream, I whatever. We call it the Red River Shootout. Texas, a 14.5-point favorite. The over-under set at 50.5 in this game. Unbelievable matchup. Interesting matchup. And really a matchup where in some ways we know these teams really well. In some ways we don't. Texas, we kind of know the deal, right? Texas, how about this, by the way? The rare that team has the rare double that team has no weakness week this week, right? Dan Lanning said it about Ohio State, and Brent Venables said it about Texas. And you look at Texas, and listen, we'll get to the Quinn Ewers element of things in a minute. Against most teams, maybe Oklahoma is one of the exceptions. Doesn't really matter who plays at quarterback. And Venables talked about this. He said of the 22 players on their two deep, 21 of them are juniors or seniors. So they're old. The O-line has like 120 starts between them. The D-line or the defense has dudes everywhere. They're flying everywhere. It's a top 10 defense in the country, one of the best defenses in the SEC. And I know that Texas largely has not been tested. Colorado State's not good. Michigan does not have a quarterback, as we've learned. UL Monroe, Mississippi State, I understand that they're not tested, but you look at this team, they have been awesome across the board. Now, I think to me, and I think to everybody, the big question is, what is the situation with Quinn Ewers, okay? Because now, to Sark's credit, he said Quinn Ewers, as of right now, is starting. Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to do any coach speak nonsense. We expect him to play, and we hope he plays well. But the word monitor was also used during Steve Sarkisian's availability. And the one thing I keep going back to in this game, oblique injuries are ones that, and we talked about this at the time. Remember, I told you the day that Arch came in, I said, Quinn Ewers is not playing against UL Monroe. He's not playing against Mississippi State. They go into a bye. He's going to get 3 full weeks before he plays against Oklahoma. And the reason I said that is because of the fact that oblique injuries are one where you can be healthy, you can be healthy, you can be healthy, you can be healthy. And then you just twist the wrong way. You turn the wrong way. You injure it, and you're back on the injured list, and you're back at square one. So I've always felt like this was the game Quinn Ewers would come back. But even Steve Sarkisian is basically acknowledging, like, I don't really know what the heck is going on with my guy. And we will see what happens with him coming into this game. From the Oklahoma perspective, again, you kind of know what this team is. Like, you know, by the way, even coming into the year, we knew the O-line was super inexperienced. Jackson Arnold was a super inexperienced quarterback. But I bring it up because we're now like 5 games into the season, okay? And so it's important to note Quinn Ewers, Jackson Arnold is out. Michael Hawkins is in. The O-line is still struggling. Now, to Oklahoma's credit, they seem to be committed to Michael Hawkins, at least for now. But also the defense is still playing really well. We discussed it going into the Auburn game. Number 2 in the SEC in tackles for loss per game. Number 2 in sacks per game. That defense is taking on the Brent Venables kind of mindset and thought process. How about this from this defense? You know, they are playing at a really high level. And they're playing well, although I should mention, and I think this is important as we start to analyze this game, is that defense was not very good against Auburn, gave up almost 500 yards of total offense. So I guess the point that I was trying to make before I got sidetracked, it is a Brent Venables defense, super aggressive. That is where they're putting their resources in NIL. If you follow recruiting at all, improved, healthy, all that. But I guess we just don't know what we're going to get from the offense. Speaking of which, that is why I'm ready to make a best bet. And I am ready to say this. I just said we don't know what we're going to get from Oklahoma's offense. We're not totally sure that Quinn Ewers is 100% healthy. So go ahead and give me the under of 50.5 in this game. And no, I do not feel good about that, only because, as we all know, This is a game we've had some 55 to 45 scores, stuff like that. So listen, if it ends up being over in the first quarter, don't be totally surprised because Torres is an idiot. But I do like the under in this game, and it's for a couple pretty simple reasons. I mean, first of all, I don't feel good picking either side in this game. Okay, and I'll explain why. From the Texas perspective, listen, you could talk yourself into a Texas blowout. You could talk yourself into a Texas outright loss, right? From the Texas perspective, think about it. The blowout scenario. Michael Hawkins Jr. doesn't really throw the football, can't really make plays with his feet. That O-line is now going up against an elite D-line. They can't block. Texas is in the backfield. Quinn Ewers is back healthy. Blowout City, 38-3 victory, okay? You can see that scenario. You can also see the other scenario. Quinn Ewers isn't 100%. They ease him back in. That Oklahoma defense is flying around. They're a little bit healthy. Texas really hasn't played anybody except Michigan, and that was 3, 4, 5 weeks ago. 4 of their 5 games at home. Is there a scenario where even if Texas wins, it's 24-21? Like, yes, I can see that scenario. Same time, Oklahoma, it's kind of the same deal, right? They're committed to Michael Hawkins. Can he break a few plays? Does that defense fly around? Can they be in position late to win that game? I'm not saying it will happen, but I could see the scenario. Also, let's keep talking about this game. Defense is really good. Oklahoma's more battle tested. Already played Tennessee, Auburn on the road. So again, there's a scenario I could see this game being close late into the fourth quarter. It's also worth noting, by the way, 9 of the last 10 Red River games have been decided by a score or less. So the idea that history tells us that Texas, even in a game where they are favored by a lot, is going to win by a lot, history just doesn't tell us that. Only game that's been decided by more than one score. Remember, it was the game 2 years ago? Sorry, I'm looking up at the sky trying to think here. 2 years ago, it was Venable's first season. Dylan Gabriel gets hurt the week before against TCU. They're down to a third-string quarterback. Only one that was a blowout. Every other one is competitive. So I see the scenario where I think it's competitive. I would lean Oklahoma plus 14.5, but to me, the best bet is the under 50.5, because when I look at this bet, what I see is a situation where I think both coaches kind of keep it close to the vest, right? Texas, you don't want to get Quinn Ewers hurt. I know that people have joked and complained about how easy this Texas schedule is, but at the same time, you still got some tough games ahead starting next week against Georgia. So if you can keep Quinn Ewers in the pocket, if you cannot put too much on tape, if you can set up a scenario where you get him through this game healthy, I think you got to go ahead and do it. From the Oklahoma perspective, I think the defense is still the strong point. I could see them creating chaos. I could see them making plays. But also, if they're in a close game, they're going to try to keep the ball out of Michael Hawkins' hands. Run game, defense, rely on ball control. So I just don't see a lot of points in this game. I will say that Texas wins the game 24 to I'll say 28-10, okay? 28-10 is my official Texas best bet. That would be a Texas cover, but I just feel much better taking the under. And by the way, of all the bets this week, it's the one that I feel least confident about. But you guys are going to be mad at me if I don't make a pick. So I'll say Texas wins 28-10. I don't feel great about it, but I do think the under comes into play in this game.